There he is.
Double, boys.
Doubled up. Doubled up.
Double. So we're out here in the flats of Steinhatchee. Flats of Steinhatchee was the second largest grass flat in the United States. Very healthy grass flat in our area. Rocks, spotted bottom sand, very consistent fishery. A lot of trout, a lot of redfish. Unique fishing certain times of the year, but all around it's a great fishery.
Typical northern Gulf, I see a lot of popping corks, a lot of a lot of soft plastics, a lot of popping corks with a shrimp. But in your boat you fish a lot of hard baits, topwaters, lipless twitch baits. Why do you think that style of bait's been so consistent for you?
The presentation's just really good, in my opinion. Colors are really good. That bait's just very consistent for our area. Yeah, the corks and all, that works if that's your kind of cup of tea. But gin clear water is probably our norm. But because we're so shallow and it'll get so windy, the sediment will stir up so bad, so it'll go from crystal clear one day to murky. So you really have to have a diverse set of colors to really consistently fish here. I think people underestimate just how shallow the water really is. We only gain 1.5 feet a mile here. And it doesn't sound like much until you calculate for a 4-foot tide shift. 4-foot tide shift, 1.5 feet a mile, your water depths are moving miles for every foot of tide you change. So you've got to have a bait that works really well in shallow water and starts working really quickly because it's just such an important thing. And for our area too, with that shallow water, fish can see you for so far. I mean, they can see you for a long ways on a calm day. So you really want something that you can maximize the length of your cast, and it works immediately once it hits the water. And these baits have done really well. They've got an awesome distance on them, and as soon as they hit the water, you're getting action. And in our area, in my opinion, the first 10% of your cast is where you're gonna catch your big fish. That's the game changer, is that first shallow water action smack.
Nice. Another beautiful Steinhatchee red. Caught me napping that time. What I noticed on this twitch bait when you're fishing for the reds especially, slow it down, a lot of bites on the paws. If you give it a couple twitches, keep it in that strike zone, and then you get some bites on the paws. Ooh, nice one too. That's another nice fish.
Your stereotypical redfish in our area is normally that 20 to 26 inch range is your most common. You'll catch them up here up to the 40s, but you'll see 1,000 slots for one overslot, and that's probably being conservative.
And your trout fishery, obviously the numbers are pretty strong as far as what you're gonna catch in a day, but size-wise, what are you guys doing on the trout?
Oh man, our trout, we have just wonderful trout. I would say my most common size, now, as a charter captain, we tend to probably catch, a little bit smaller range trout because of the way we fish, but man, mid 20-inch trout in Steinhatchee is not a rarity. I mean, that's something we see every day.
You see that in this darker water, and he blew that up. Nice trout too. There we go. Nice little trout. Trout on topwater, can't beat that. All we're doing is just fan casting. We're actually drifting along a huge flat. These trout could be anywhere. There's big grass flat, there's little sand pockets and stuff. They'll pop out of those sand holes and jump all over it. We have quite a few bites. You can catch them on twitch bait too, but if you can get them to eat a topwater, there's not much better than that. If you had one in particular bait from Yo-Zuri for this fishery, for this, what we're doing today, fishing these shallow flats, what would it be?
Twitch bait, all day long.
Yeah.
I like the golden color. It's just consistent. That and the peanut bunker color in this area It runs the right depth. You can run it shallow. You're not catching the bottom. You know, I fish, I'd say conservatively 100 days a year throwing y'all's hard plastics. And, you know, they've always done really well consistently, but we needed something with that little bit flashier color. You've noticed it, the water gets a little more tannic, a little more sediment in it. You needed something that stood out just a hair more. And I'm really excited to see these new colors. I mean, we've already proven today that they're gonna work really well, but man, it's actually been something I was hoping you guys would do for a few years.
And these are perfect conditions for these new colors too. Yeah. With this, it's been stirred up. This is definitely some darker water.
Yep.
And yeah, that's really what this is made for. So, you know, this is stained dark water because of the wind for Steinhatchee, but you know, in Louisiana or a lot of places in Texas, this is clean water for them.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. You take this somewhere that has the consistent, murkier waters, man. These baits are going to be a game changer for a lot of those areas.
Ooh, good one too. Redfish. Gotta love how these things fight. So we're in the perfect conditions for the twitch bait. You know, we're fishing in 1.5 foot of water with some rocks in it, a little mixed grass, sand, rocks, and that twitch bait with that slow sinking and keep it in the strike zone. And we're just looking, there's reds all over this flat. And we're just fan casting the whole flat, and that twitch bait is absolutely perfect. You know, we got these brighter colors. You see, the water's all churned up. The wind's blowing 20, 25 miles an hour, has been for, unfortunately, like a couple months now. But, you know, got the water churned up, the water's darker, so these brighter colors that we just came out with for iCast this year, absolutely perfect for doing this type of fishing. And Captain Kyle putting us on them. They got a hell of a fishery here. And, you know, the Yo-Zuri 3D Inshore series, whether it's TopKnock pencil, the twitch bait like I got on right now, ooh, that's a nice red too. Or that surface minnow, can't go wrong with those, you know. Not gonna get hung up very much, gonna get a lot of bites, and catch some quality fish. Pretty fish. Beautiful red. Got a mouthful of twitch bait there. That's that new Mardi Gras pattern. We've got colors to cover everything in the 3D Inshore series. Everything from ultra clean water. We got the ghost shad, white and silver, you know, IU pattern, just a natural green and silver. We got, you know, the real pilchard, we got you covered, real mullet. But in conditions like this, we did need to add some baits to the series and put some brighter colors in there. And, you know, slow sinking twitch bait on the flats, doesn't get much better than that. And Yo-Zuri makes the best in the business. Check it out, 3D Inshore twitch bait. There he is. Doubled up. Doubled up. I got a feeling they're
twins.
Yeah, cookie cutter size. Yeah, oh, these are nice fish. Trying to get. I hooked mine way out there. Doubled up on the inshore baits. Well, a couple beautiful reds, one on the surface minnow and one on the twitch bait. Doesn't get much better than that. Light tackle out in 1.5 foot of water. It's a perfect situation for these baits. So we're here at Sea Marina in Steinhatchee, Florida. We had an awesome morning catching trout and redfish on some 3D Inshore lures with Captain Kyle Skipper. If you guys are ever in this area, look him up. He's right here at the marina. He's got a couple different boats. Put you on the fish. Been doing it for a really long time. You won't find anybody better in the business around this area. And you know, if it's anything from inshore fishing, you know, near shore fishing, or especially scalloping during the season, give him a ring. The places to stay are pretty cool here. There's some great little restaurants around here. This Steinhatchee Florida is a hell of a hidden gem. We appreciate your time. Let the people know how they can get a hold of you.
My website's m1fishing.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me, or you can just look me up through the Seahag Marina, seahag.com. Either way, pretty easy to find.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
Hell of a day.
you guys. Thank you.
So we're here in Steinhatchee on second day of shooting. You know, went out today with Captain Matt Cowart. We were fishing, you know, started off the morning, it was slicked off calm, a little bit of rain, but slicked off beautiful. Picked off some trout and some nice reds and some slicked off calm conditions in really shallow water, throwing the 3D Inshore TopKnock pencil. And then we transitioned to, you know, a rock and sand flat, and the wind picked up, the water turned dirty, but we're throwing these new brighter colors that we're coming out with for ICAST this year. And man, what do we get? 40, 50 reds?
Easy 40, 50 reds, yeah.
There's one. Redfish too. So, 3D Inshore series, as you can see, works. We're fishing real shallow water, and it's, oh, I just had one behind mine too. And it's the perfect series for this type of water. You know, the whole series is made to be fished shallow. You know, you can fish the whole series in 2 feet of water or less, and a lot of it you can fish in 1 foot of water or less. So that's a nice trout right there. And is it a trout or a red? Trout, nice trout. And as you can see, this water is ultra clear and ultra shallow, and that's what this series is made for. That's that new Mardi Gras color. That's I'll grab it. So that's that new Mardi Gras color we just came out with for ICAST this year. That's a great color. You see that 3D internal prism finish? Every bait in this series either has that finish or an internal painted finish. So you can see, trout got some teeth. You know, this is the 6th or 7th fish this plug's caught this morning. All that color is still good to go. You could catch 60 fish on that bait and it won't wear the color off. So, I mean, anywhere you're fishing, especially on the west coast of Florida, you know, Gulf Coast, Louisiana, Texas, you know, this is a perfect series. It's meant to be fished shallow. And we got some great new brighter colors coming out in it. It's another one of them right there, black silver chartreuse. We got a pink silver chartreuse, and we got a violet and chartreuse, you know, nice purple and chartreuse. So that goes with a lot of the natural patterns we already had in the series, kind of rounds it out. You've got your bright colors, you know, for different situations, your realistic patterns for different situations, but no matter what it is, all the paint and all the finishes on the inside. They're quick starting baits. You can fish them shallow next to structure. You can fish them out here. The second they hit the water, they start working. That's key. So, you know, perfect situation for a large part of the country, you know, especially coming out here, sea trout fishing, redfish fishing. Can't beat it in Steinhatchee either. It's about as good as it gets. Okay, I gotta switch to Twitchbait. We're on a really shallow flat, typical fishing here. what you want to do is cover as much water as possible, and there's really no better bait to do that with than a topwater pencil bait, a walking bait. What you want to look for in a pencil bait, that 1-knot cadence rattle. So every time that thing, it goes side to side, dunk, dunk, dunk. It's that deep thud. That's the type of sound you want, especially for these fish. You know, we're catching reds, catching trout. You know, you never know what you're gonna get a bite on. We actually got, you know, one of those rare Steinhatchee snook earlier this morning. This is one of the new colors for iCast this year. This is black silver chartreuse. Great color, it's a little bit overcast. That chartreuse just gives them a little bit of extra target to see, something they can see, key in on, come up and blow it out of the water. We've had some awesome strikes this morning. And typical thing is, I mean, you're looking for fish pushing, but this bait can cast a long ways. It flies straight as an arrow. Let you cover a ton of water. Got a couple guys throwing on the boat. Just fan casts, cover a bunch of water. Pretty easy. I mean, here, work it relatively slow, just with a nice steady cadence. It's a super easy bait to walk. Key is you want to give yourself a little bit of slack, especially with braid, to allow that bait to go all the way over to the side. If you're not good at walking baits, one that I would recommend is the 3D Inshore surface minnow. So that bait's actually a wake bait. You can cast and retrieve it. It's going to have a similar action, not quite as wide of an action, but a similar action on top, and you can just cast and retrieve. So that's a great one if you got somebody on your boat that, you know, isn't real good at throwing pencil baits, but you still need to fish something up top. You still get that blast on top, but you know, it's just a cast and retrieve, real easy. So, you know, when you're looking at situations like this, a hard bait's a great way to go. You could throw soft plastics in here, bounce them across the bottom, but you wouldn't cover near as much water as we're covering with these. And that's the key for this type of fishery. These fish are spread out, they're sitting in, you know, potholes, but they're also swimming around and, you know, cruising around looking to feed on mullet, shrimp, crabs, things like that. This is a great bait to cover a ton of water.
A lot of schools starting to show up on the rock flat, grass flats we have out here. Perfect weather today, a little overcast, low clouds, high clouds, wind, no wind. We kind of had a little bit of everything today. The Yo-Zuri baits today did great. Bright colors with the low light conditions were on point today. I mean, we caught multiple trout on, you know, one flat, and then we jumped flats completely, you know, 5 miles, and then went and did the same thing on reds. On the same baits, so you can do it both, target both species, you know, on the same baits, and you don't have to switch it up.
A surprise snook mixed
Even had a surprise snook and Steinhatchee, yeah. So you don't catch a lot of those here.
Too.
Yeah, you couldn't say no to the Yo-Zuri. You know, when they're sitting on the bottom and it's coming by flashing in front of them, it's just drawing the bite. You know, it's making the fish think that it's a real fish and it's a real bait fish, and they just can't resist it. But the Twitchbait doesn't sink, so you don't get hung up on the bottom a lot, you know what I mean? So anybody can fish it. You just keep it moving, and it's in the water column at the right spot, you know?
And I think what people don't understand too is I think they're intimidated by hard baits sometimes. Whereas the 3 baits that we fished today, the TopKnock pencil, that's a walking bait on top, you know, the surface minnow, that's a wake bait on top. It doesn't go more than 6 inches below the surface. And like you said, the Twitchbait, it's so slow sinking. You could fish that bait in a foot of water, no problem.
We did today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're successful.
Yeah, and there's boats all around us fishing other methods, and we were catching 2, 3 to 1
Easy
compared to them. So I think, you know, the average guy, you know, once they learn how to throw hard baits a little bit, I mean, it's an eye-opening experience. Plus, it's a lot more fun.
It is a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun, man. Those blow-ups on that TopKnock pencil.
I mean, they'll just the strike alone will scare you sometimes. Yeah. It's so intense that sometimes it'll just almost pull the rod out of your hand, and I mean they just kill it, you know.
Yeah, and for less than $10 a piece, it's not the investment that it would be, and you catch 50 fish on the same bait. No problem. You definitely get your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, compared to soft plastics, where you go through 3 or 4 packs, like what we did today, at least 3 or 4 packs of gulp or anything, and a hard bait, you just throw it back out, and it does the same thing over again. You know,
keep catching fish, man. Yep. Well, we appreciate it, man. That was fun. That was about as good redfish bite as I've ever had.
That's right.
So
Yeah. Well, that's what we look for.